Immigrants have the right to use Canadian courts to deal with family law issues. Family law and immigration law can intersect in many ways, and it's important to understand how changes to your immigration or marital status may affect your situation. In this video, I will talk about marriage, divorce, spousal support, and sponsorship. Immigrants can get married or divorced on PEI, and if you're getting married on PEI but you're trying to register that marriage in another country, it's important to check with that country's embassy or consulate on what their requirements are, because they may need additional documents to recognize your marriage. To get a divorce on PEI, your marriage must be valid on PEI, and you or your spouse must have lived here for at least 12 months. If you married in another country, that country may not recognize your Canadian divorce, so you might want to check with their embassy or consulate first to see if it would be accepted. If you got a divorce in another country or province, your divorce is valid on PEI if you or your spouse lived in that country or province for at least 1 year before the divorce. Immigrants are entitled to apply for spousal support. You can still apply for it even if you're separate from your spouse during your immigration process. Now, let's talk about sponsorship. And what I'm going to share only applies if your sponsorship is already approved. Your sponsor is responsible for supporting you during part of your immigration process. If they fail to do so, you should talk to an immigration lawyer for advice. Your sponsor, partner, or spouse can't make you leave Canada. Only an immigration official can do that. And that can only happen if you get a removal order after an immigration hearing. If your sponsor is threatening you, you should talk to a lawyer. If your spouse is your sponsor, you still have the right to end your relationship. It might affect you differently if you're a permanent resident or not. If you are a permanent resident, immigration officials will not ask you to leave Canada if you separate from your spouse. The only exception is if immigration officials think that the marriage was not genuine. This usually means that they think you got married only for immigration reasons. If you are not a permanent resident and you leave your spouse, you should talk to a lawyer about how a change in your marital status can affect your right to stay in Canada. Sponsors are required to sign a sponsorship undertaking that says that they must continue to support you for 3 years. Separation or divorce doesn't change that commitment. If your sponsor is deported for a crime, it may not affect your application, but you should talk to a lawyer. Generally, your immigration status is separate from your sponsor's deportation, but make sure you stay up to date with your immigration steps. Our Justice Avenues program offers free legal advice about immigration, family, and criminal law to Black people, Indigenous people, and people of color. Their contact information is in the caption.